Good morning. We're running the New York City Marathon today. Good morning. We're running the New York City Marathon today.
On the bus.
Yay!
On the bus. Good old New York. Raising money for Fred's team. So we have about 20 minutes before my corral opens. I had a rope.
Number 4, on your mark.
Going over Staten Island Bridge now. There's 5K done! Now entering downtown Brooklyn. Let's go! There you go. Pull up. Pulling up.
My brother was like,
Fuck this.
one of his coworkers I came out to see go by.
We're in the home stretch. Home stretch! Only 2.2 miles left before we finish this marathon. This is the final shoot. I know it because of the flags. How about Allie? The opportunity to run the New York City Marathon with Fred's team. So if you are not aware of what Fred's team does, Fred's team raises money for Memorial Sloan Kettering, and the money that we fundraise goes directly towards cancer research. My fundraiser is still available, I think, for another week. So if you want to donate, you can do so by clicking the link below. The New York City Marathon is a very coveted marathon. A lot of people say, or it is difficult to get in. There's a couple different ways you can get selected into the New York City Marathon. There is a automatic qualifying time. I think New York, it's faster than Boston. I think it's like 3:15 for females, which is very fast. And I don't know if that's like, that puts you into the elite category or what, but there is a qualifying time you can hit in New York to automatically be entered into the race. The second way is the New York Roadrunners program has what's called a 9+1. So what that means is that you run 9 races, you volunteer for a race, and that is what gets you entry into the New York City Marathon for the following year. The other way that you can get entered is by the New York City lottery, which a lot of people put in for. And the other way is how I did it, and that is through charity. There are many different charities and organizations that are affiliated with New York Roadrunners in which you can run with them and fundraise. So depending on your company might have one. And if not, there are a group of New York, I don't want to say Roadrunners, but there is a group of, I guess you could say more of like the premier organizations that the New York Road Running Association tends to work with more. Mine was Fred's team. And there's a lot of perks to being able to run with a charity. The number one being you don't have to do the mile walk out of the park. I cannot say enough good things about the Fred's team organization as a whole. Everyone has just been so kind, courteous. They're great with communication. And there's a lot of pros to being able to run with charity. So for example, Fred's team, they do a lot of team runs in New York City. I was in Tampa, so I couldn't run with them. But there's a lot of training resources that you get when you choose to sign up for a charity. You can also ride the team bus, which we did, or I did. And again, there's different perks, like charities, like they'll have different events and things that you can do to kind of like get to know people better, kind of make the experience a little bit better. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but for example, my charity, we had a booth at mile 17. That's where I had my friends meet me at. And so you kind of get to meet other people from your charity organization in ways that if you were just running by yourself, you may not be able to do so. And again, there's different pros and cons. I would say there definitely is a fundraising aspect to it, but it's a lot easier than you may think. And I definitely think if you're going to do it for a charity, definitely do it for a charity organization that is very close to you. I know people who've been treated at Memorial Sloan Kettering, and to me, it was just one of those things where doing a marathon is tough, but knowing that you get to do it for a cause, I think definitely just makes the reward so much better. And I would highly recommend, if you are looking to do a half marathon at some point in your life, I really do think charity is a great way to be able to do it. Shout out to Fred's team for helping me make my marathon dream come true. And together we can all imagine a world without cancer. The marathon process itself, here's a couple things that we can call this a this, not that version. Everyone is different when it comes to training. And I think that this is really important to preface with the marathon training process itself. There are people who bodies respond to doing high volume and high mileage volume. And there are people who respond better to doing mid-level volume. And there are people who respond to doing lower volume. I have been in like 4 car accidents. I wasn't able to run New York City last year because I literally got bodied in one. And my marathon process, training process has been very different, which is why I did a 7-hour marathon. But hence, I finished in one piece. I was like, I cannot get injured again. I will lose it. The number one piece of advice I have for people when it comes to marathon training is you need to get good shoes. These were the shoes that I was between my Saucony Hurricanes or my Adidas. These have a little bit more of an arch on them. I chose to wear these on race day over these guys. Both of them I find to be really great if you tend to overpronate. I have the Adidas running app. I use that to get my Adidas running sneakers and discounts. I'm an Adidas girl through and through. Saucony's really great as well. To each his own. I go between these shoes. I wore these shoes running when I was in New York. I wore these on race day. So again, to each his own. I carried a belt bag with me, and I put fuel in my side pockets. The number one thing I should have listened to people more on race day is when they genuinely said, you're not going to be able to have an appetite or want to like chew. And I should have listened to that, and I should have been taking more gels at the halfway point. But I had someone give me like 2 protein shakes, and that's what I've been training on. But as far as goos that I have found that I like, it's been these chia mango, these, Huma Chia Energy gels are really good. It's like mango puree, concentrate, cane sugar, brown rice syrup, powdered chia seeds, sea salt, citric acid. So these are some of the cleaner gels that I have found. I also don't like thick goos. And the other thing, these honestly are like tolerable, these salt sticks, but they really do come in handy. I didn't realize like my electrolytes were low, and on top of that, I had to pee so much. So definitely, I think if I ever do a marathon again, I need to go more of the salt route, not the chew or the goo route. But again, to each his own. When it comes to marathon training, I also rocked my Ray-Ban sunglasses during the race, and we can have another conversation to talk about running gear another day. But the main thing you want to get right is shoes and your socks. That's going to be the most important thing on race day is going to be that. Now, if you have never run a marathon before, or if you are going to be running New York Marathon for the first time, what I need people to understand is, so you do not start where you finish. You start in what is called Staten Island. I have friends who, a lot of people recommend taking the ferry over to Staten Island. They say that the pictures that you get on there is amazing, and just the cheering that you get there. But there is more walking involved if you are going to take the ferry versus taking the bus. I took my team bus. We had to leave a lot earlier than if you chose to take the ferry. So that is also something to be considering when it comes to how you choose to get to Staten Island. The reason why you have to leave earlier if you are going to be on a bus is because the buses have to be able to get in and out before they close the bridges to get back into New York. Now, when it comes to the expo, I have been told by insider sources that you want to go there the first day, either around like noon, or you want to go at like an off time. You do not want to go when people are getting off of work, when people are on their lunch break. If you can go earlier in the morning, I have been told that's better. I wanted to get the New Balance hoodie that said it's that New York energy. They sold out on the first day. And you also need to plan more time than you think for the expo. The expo is very large. It is at Javits Center. There's a couple ways you can get there, but unless you are like taking either the 1, or I think it's like the F train, or maybe it's the E train. I can't remember which one it is. There's a train that you take that will pretty much put you up at the Javits, but if not, it's a lot of walking. And that is important to know. Give yourself time to get your bib. You need to make sure that when you say when you are going to be picking up your bib, you pick it up. There was 50,000 people running the marathon. That's important to know. The other important thing to know as well is that there's going to be a lot of different vendors, so definitely check everyone out. If you, like me, were running with Fred's team, they're going to have a tent there. Make sure you go and you say bye or hi. And the expo is a really good way to meet a bunch of people as well. So the expo is massive. Plan time. Give yourself more time than you think. But I've been told if you can get there on the first day, that is the best. I know everyone is different. I could have flown in earlier, but I chose not to, just because of hurricanes and everything like that. So I didn't really think that one through. And also my chance plan, I was going to go there Thursday, and then my plans changed. So I had to go on Friday. But again, the expo's massive. I got a bunch of stuff from Maybelline, which is pretty cool. So definitely get all the free stuff you can have, because New York is amazing. And everyone says that the merch in New York is really cool. The other thing to remember is that New York requires a lot of walking. I accidentally walked 10 miles on Thursday. So when they say you need to relax, have a plan, but this is not the time to be sightseeing in New York, everyone means that. You can leave sightseeing. You are going to be running 26.2 miles of New York City. You get to sightsee for those straight 26.2 miles. Take it easy. I did not. I did not drink enough water Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I suffered the consequences on Sunday. Don't be like me. And also, make sure you have the fuel that you have been training with. And if you are someone and you are really trying to train for a time, and that means that you may have to forego seeing family or not being family with a second, you need to account for the fuel that you are going to need that day. You cannot leave it up to chance to see your friends. My friends almost thought they missed me. I had to go and circle back. So a lot of my time was just kind of yapping and using the bathroom. And do not try anything new on race day. Make sure you have what you need. Make sure you have what you need before you get to New York. I had to go to 3 different stores to find the racing goos and stuff that I needed. And that is also why I spent a lot more time walking on Friday than I should have. And I ended up going to the Fleet Feet store at Columbus Circle. Yeah, they had other New York Marathon merch from other brands and stuff too, which is pretty cool. And they also have their own marathon merch as well. So that's another thing to take into consideration. But really enjoy it. Most importantly, when you are running a marathon, you need to remember your why. I told myself that if I could run from the Staten Island Bridge into Brooklyn, that I would be able to do the marathon. I think I had some of the most fun running the New York City Marathon. I will put in some clips here of you guys of my race, but if this was my first and last marathon, I would be okay with that. I think I would consider a marathon in a couple of years. I'm not running any marathons next year, but also never say never. Marathon training is a lot of work. It is as much mental work as it is physical work. It requires you to say no to a lot of things. It requires you to sacrifice a lot of things. But at the end of the day, when you get your medal, you know that you are in the top 1%, less than 5, I think it's 0.5% of the world will ever run a marathon in their lifetime, and you have now entered into being in that elite class. New York City Marathon really is a bucket list dream of mine. I can't believe that I was able to do it. I can't believe that I was able to do it for cancer research. I lost my uncle in 2019 to stomach cancer. He, to me, was really the embodiment of what it meant to be a New Yorker. He was just so kind, brilliant, smart, and he really pushed me and instilled in me that I can do whatever it is that I want to do. And when you move to a place like New York City, when you run a New York City Marathon, there are so many people who are along the sidelines cheering you on, and it's literally just a reminder that even if people in your circle don't support you, strangers will. And New York City teaches you that you are tough. It teaches you that you are strong. And it teaches you that you really can do anything that you put your mind to. Listen to the people who can tell you you can more than people who can tell you that you can't. And I've lost my dad. I've lost my grandpa. I've almost died. I shouldn't be here. I'm still standing, and I'm here to tell you that this past year has been hell and that I have made it through to the other side. I was able to do a marathon despite literally almost dying last year. I've had 2 major concussions this year in the past year. And even with how hard this year has been, to me, the marathon was basically a victory lap. And to me, the pain that I went through in the marathon was so much less than the pain that I have gone through this past year. And I knew that the marathon was, to me, it was the end of a very tough chapter. I'm happy it's done, but as the saying goes, the end of one race is often the start of another. So if you don't want to have the marathon blues, just go sign up for another running race at some point. I'm going to be running a half marathon in February. So my therapist is like, you act like this isn't the only race you're doing. I'm like, 'cause it's not. So that is a little not cliff note, but you don't have to be depressed about finishing if you know you have something to look forward to. So with that being said, thank you for choosing to take time out of your day to talk to me. Thank you for listening to my marathon recap video. I still do have the fundraising link open. I will also put the resources to Fred's team. So if you decide that you want to run with them, you can reach out to them. I just want to say thank you so much to Fred's team. Thank you to every single person who made my dream possible this year. Thank you to everyone who has donated and who has cheered me on. And with that being said, as my dad would always say in the morning, life is too short not to have your morning coffee and take your morning shit. Thank you. I will see you on the next one.